Now I want to show you a journal. The journal is the door opener. Oops. Door opener. And this, that's too small. Switch back to the other, thank you. The door opener. And this is a magazine, which I wrote an article in. And the article I wrote is called Food for Our Human Biology. And here it is. There it is. There's my little pics. And on the back side, just the rest of the article. We have this article. So if you would like to see what I recommend that people eat, you send us a self-addressed stamped envelope, and we will mail you a copy of that Food for Our Human Biology. Then they liked that article so much that they did a featured advertiser article on me, and we won't send you that. Lactoferrin can increase the effectiveness. That's a derivative of whey protein. Lactoferrin can increase the effectiveness when you're treating people for H. pylori. And I recommend that people try that. Now, here is an article that was sent to me by a close friend of mine, J.T. Guy, M.D., a real super smart person and excellent hematologist, oncologist, general physician. He's been retired 10 years, and I call him up for advice because he stays current and he's that smart. But these were some things that he sent me, and I'll just read them to you because they are so funny. If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read the newspaper, you're misinformed. That was Mark Twain. Suppose you were an idiot. Suppose you were a member of Congress. But then I repeat myself. That also is from Mark Twain. I contend that for a nation to try to tax itself into prosperity is like a man standing in a bucket and trying to lift himself up by the handle. And that was Winston Churchill. A government which robs Peter to pay Paul can always depend on the support of Paul. That was George Bernard Shaw. A liberal is someone who feels a great debt to his fellow man, which debt he proposes to pay off with your money. That's G. Gordon Liddy. Democracy must be something more than two wolves and a sheep voting on what to have for dinner. That's James Bovard, a civil libertarian who said that in 1994. Foreign aid might be defined as a transfer of money from poor people in rich countries to rich people in poor countries. And that was Douglas Casey, a classmate of Bill Clinton at Georgetown. Giving money and power to government is like giving whiskey and car keys to a teenage boy. Government is the great fiction through which everybody endeavors to live at the expense of everybody else. Well, these are just so funny, so funny, so funny. And I just wanted to go over that. Cat's claw is a combination anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer substance. Why did I not mention that for the flu? Well, it's certainly another wonderful product to think about having around for the flu. I did mention curcumin. Curcumin or turmeric is available at natural food stores like is cat's claw, and it has excellent immune-enhancing, antioxidant, and anti-inflammatory properties. Here's about vegetarian diets may protect against obesity and type 2 diabetes. Folks, if you haven't ever gotten the message, here's the message. The closer you get to being completely vegetarian, and not that I am, but the closer you get to that, the fewer issues you're going to have of all types. Cancer of the prostate, cancer of the breast, heart attack, stroke, dialysis, diverticulitis, and so on. And one of the things about most vegetarian diets is they're higher in vegetables, and it is vegetables that keep our weight down. Do I recommend organic versus commercial? And the answer is yes. And it has not so much to do with the missing trace elements, although that is true, but it has more to do with not having the pesticides, which contribute to Parkinsonism as well as to various cancers. Insulin resistance, which is like saying the step before diabetes, is linked to a high-protein diet. People were studied who were put on the Atkins diet, and it was found out their blood vessels reacted more adversely. Diet is linked to Alzheimer's risk. That's a high meat, high cheese, high egg, low, quote, vegetarian type diet. And by vegetarian, I am not talking about eggs and dairy products. I am talking about brown rice, vegetables, beans, fruit, nuts, and seeds. And I'm not saying 100%. I think it's safe to have animal protein the size of your palm for you. This is the palm. my palm for me, your palm for you, about twice a week if you're in good shape, and if you're overweight, about once a week. Now, what about all the fast foods? What about all the convenient stuff? What about all the juices? Hey, free to choose. I'm here to give you the information. Do as you will. This is the position of the Preventive Medicine Center and myself as medical director for that organization. Crohn's disease, every now and then I get a call about somebody who has Crohn's disease in the family. First thing I recommend for Crohn's disease is 100%, and I always have to say this, I do not mean to sound mean, 100%. Do you understand what 100% means? It means no exception. 100% no wheat, no dairy, and no soy. Interestingly, somebody did a study that showed that half of type 1 diabetics, half of the thinner insulin-dependent type diabetics reacted adversely to wheat compared to the control population. And so they think there may be a relationship between wheat intake and the development, the increasing incidence of type 1 diabetes in our population. Now, it sounds like I have a bad attitude about life, but really the attitude I have about life is called mature restraint. Whatever we want to do is generally a sign of something we should not want to do. You might say, well, I want to exercise. Yes, and that's good, and I'm glad that you do. That is not part of what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is how wheat and bread and rice, how wheat and whole wheat pasta and whole wheat crackers and chips and so on have become the most popular form. You go to a restaurant and they give you bread and either butter or olive oil at the beginning of the meal along with a salad. Now, why on earth would they give you those foods when you're going there to order something that they want to earn a living off of? And the answer is, I believe, wheat increases hunger. Whole wheat bread, regular pasta. So what I'm saying to you is minimize wheat intake. And if you have Crohn's disease, if you have regional enteritis, the other name for Crohn's disease, avoid wheat, avoid dairy, and avoid soy. Dairy and soy are very immunoreactive. I talked to an allergist once, and he agreed with me. Animal protein is much more immune reactive in the bad sense than is vegetable protein. And you can get everything you need being vegan vegetarian. Am I vegan vegetarian? No. Do I recommend it? They are my healthiest patients, my vegan vegetarian patients. You may say, yes, that's because they have the discipline and they exercise. And there may well be truth in that, but you can't argue with the basic fact. A high fiber, low fat, low processed food diet is much better for you than the meat and fish and chicken and cheese and eggs and yogurt and cottage cheese and ice cream and cakes and cookies and pastries and pastas that we are all eating and developing our high incidence of disease processes.